A wise man once said, "Gotta get that, gotta get that, gotta grrrr that. In today's world, with people's short attention spans and large desire to obtain things at any means necessary, having things fall into our laps as fast as possible and as easy as possible can be extremely important and profitable." Hello there, I'm StevieBlu, and welcome to another video that literally no one will watch. Today we're going to take a deep dive into idle games, the philosophy behind them, how and why they work, and answer the most important question on everyone's mind: am I above playing them? Idle games are games in which you, for the most part, don't actually do anything. You're idle, hence the name. Now, a few things that's worth clearing up off the rip. I'm going to be referring solely to pure idle games, so games that have incorporated elements of them such as certain MMORPGs, or anything with daily or timed bonuses won't be spoken about in detail. However, we'll look at some of these as and when they're relevant. We are looking at true idle games like Cookie Clicker, Egg Incorporated, Adventure Capitalist and so on, and seeing how such a seemingly boring and pointless game loop can captivate the time and attentions of millions around the world. So whether you're into laying eggs, baking cookies, or mining so much ore that you can take over multiple galaxies, it's most likely been done already. Now think about it, is there any other genre of game with a more ridiculous and diverse range of game concepts? I still remember when I was a young teenager buying my first smartphone. It was an iPhone 3 or something, opening the App Store and being like, "Oh, what's this? Cookie Clicker? I'll give it a shot, why not?" Open it and you literally just tap the screen then, that's all you do. Only to realise that you've tapped the screen a bunch of times, you get to tap the screen a bunch more times until different sized cookies can be tapped, and then you can have the game help you tap and get cookies for yourself, or something like that. I don't even know, but that's the cycle of an idle game. It leans heavily into the idea of improvement and how easily and readily available it is in these games. All you're doing is tapping the screen. Anyone can do that. But, and this is very important, you are advancing, improving. And at the end of the day, we're monkeys and we have monkey brains, especially me. These games are the holy grail of the numbers go up idea that games like Diablo 3 have built the entire endgame around. The bar for entry for these sorts of games is so low that not even a drunk uncle at a wedding would attempt to limbo under it. It makes it appeal to anyone who's prone to getting hooked on higher numbers, more bars on the screen and big flashy animations. These games make you feel like you're improving at such a drastic rate that it's time well spent. When in actuality, with 99% of these games, the carrot is being dangled and there is in fact no end. Just more numbers and more letters. And yet, the numbers get so big that to fit them on the screen, they have to resort to using an alphabetic coding system, something akin to the police phonetic alphabet. So you won't have, I think it's 10,000 or something, it turns to 10AA and then 10AB, 10AC, or else the number literally wouldn't fit on the screen. There is nothing on this earth that makes you think, just one more upgrade and then I'll stop and do the thing that I've been putting off all day. These games get you and they get you good. But not only is it your time thereafter, no. They all have a way for you to pay to progress. Pay to skip a certain amount of time or pay for an upgrade or something like that. And a lot of people are so caught up in the addictive cycle of it that they find themselves actually spending their hard-earned money on systems that are designed to make you spend money to dig yourself out of the hole that your spending put you in. You see, as you spend money on these games and get further and further, you dig yourself into a rut of such slow progression that the only way to progress faster than a snail on downers is to sink more into the game. So you can see how those sweet numbers go up again. And there you have the sunken cost fallacy. This is the principle whereby someone is reluctant to give up on something that they've already invested so heavily into, even if deep down they know they should. Have you ever bought a game at full price on launch day, put it in, that shows my age, I guess, download it, only to realise it's not what you thought or wanted, but grinded it out anyway because you've already spent so much on it and you feel as though you have to, even though you're not enjoying yourself. Well, I have, and it's Monster Hunter World and it's shit. That's what you get with idle games. There comes a point where everyone who's playing them realises they're pointless and shit, but has already sunk sometimes hundreds of hours in and kind of finds themselves playing even though they aren't even paying attention to what's going on anymore. Almost like muscle memory. That's what's interesting about the sunken cost fallacy. It isn't exclusive to money. The main reason people will find themselves playing things that they haven't enjoyed for months is the time that they've already invested until that point. This is a big problem with MMORPGs. Oftentimes, with A tier or mostly B tier MMOs, you have a deep-rooted set of hardcore players who've been stuck in this cycle of not wanting to stop playing a game they've spent so much of their time playing that they've actually grown resentful and tried to dissuade new players from either picking the game up or continuing playing any further, causing the game they now hate to stagnate due to a lack of new players, and they enact their self-fulfilling prophecy of actually making the game worse. Idle games work best on people who are susceptible to becoming hooked and or glued to their handheld device of choice. Handheld device of choice? I could have just said phone there, but you live and learn, eh? People with addictive personalities, who most would agree is a vast majority of people, will find themselves drawn in by the simplicity and attractiveness of the systems used in these games. The progression starts off fast, so that sweet little dopamine hit is immediate and remains for a short while after playing. Often just long enough until the progression curve steepens exponentially. You'll find yourself spending hours with little to no progression at all, and this is where the whole model is arguably egregious. The games bake the problem into the game's core so that they can sell you the solution. The dreaded bloody cash shop. Nearly all games these days have them, but for idle games, they're a bottomless pit. Anything from time skips, progression boosts, or cosmetics. And yes, you can get cosmetics in some of these single-player idle games. All you gotta do is drop some fat, simple, cold, hard cash. The games become so stale and stagnant at what I guess you have to call the end game, that you have the choice to either stop playing or drop some cheddar to keep the shit train of time waste chugging along. And if they can't get cash out of you, then by golly they will force you to watch countless awful, and I mean awful, oh my lord, these are so bad, who are making these, ads.
Fake! What? Chill! Why do people say that our free junk giveaway isn't real? That's crazy! Look!
Mobile gaming and adverts go together like YouTube content and Raid Shadow Legends. Speaking of which, today's sponsor is No, I'm just kidding. Idle games aren't the only ones forcing adverts down your throat at every turn, but they do it differently to other genres. What I will say about them, to their credit, is these adverts are technically optional. While an ad will never just start playing, interrupting your exhilarating gameplay, they'll make it so that watching an ad will give you a time buff that will often last 2 hours. Yes, there's an industry standard for advert buffs. Is this hitting you how bizarre this all is yet? Now, it goes without saying that most of these are going to be appealing to mainly younger audiences, who, and you'll know this if you have children of your own, are happy to sit and just chain ads back to back, or beg and plead their parents for money for something in a game they like. I'm sure if these parents knew how insanely pointless it all is, they'd laugh out loud and force them to eat sauerkraut until they're 26.5 years old. Shout out to Weird Al. It's undeniable how profitable these games can become. I mean, whip your phone out, type in idle into your app or Play Store, and just look at how many games show up. This wouldn't happen if there wasn't something in it, I'm telling you. Another little feature that they use to keep the hooks well and truly planted into your brain is the offline progression. So simply put, even when you aren't playing, you're earning. Kinda like crypto, but without the rug pulls. So it's even harder to go off these games, because you know in the back of your mind that while you aren't playing, you're progressing, oftentimes very generously. So it again just incentivizes you to open it back up and check if you've earned enough pixie dust to grow your next fucking tree of blue pumpkins. Then boom, you're back on the merry-go-round. It is really very clever, and they seem to have all bases covered with regards to player attainment, something Diablo 4 could have paid attention to. Buzzing! You do see the offline features in other games too, like Runes of Magic and World of Warcraft to name a few, for the very same reason. It's just another way of them getting you to log back into the game. So with all these tried and tested methods of player retention and finding any and all ways to profit of what is one of the biggest flaws of humankind, it's not hard to see why a genre that on the surface seems lacking of any substance has such a wide scope over initially the mobile space and now the PC market too. So yeah, I just thought I'd take a dive below the surface on a topic that's fascinating to me and I don't see anyone talking about it. Could have gone much deeper into the nitty gritty of it all, but felt this would be a good point to end it. Thanks for watching. And no, I'm totally not above playing idle games, man. They go fucking hard, bro.